How long does it take to get results with SEO? This is a question, as you can imagine, that I hear all the time from marketing leaders and founders. It's a valid question where they want to know, well, what is the timeline and how long should we expect to actually start to see a payback, a return on our investment? And how long will it take specifically for us to start to generate customer acquisition and demo and trial signups from our SEO efforts? I'm here to tell you that highly depends on where your starting point is at. If you're starting from scratch, meaning a brand new domain that has zero age, that has no backlinks, and you're in a competitive space, you could be looking at anywhere from 12 to 18 to 24 months. But there are better and faster and easier ways to approach this if you have not yet launched. For example, you could build on an expired domain that has age, that has backlinks, and that previously operated in your space or industry, and that will help you to massively expedite the time it takes to get results from SEO. We've done this with SaaS businesses, and we've seen SaaS businesses that leverage this strategy actually be able to drive real customer acquisition from organic in a matter of months, compared to it perhaps taking them 12, 18, or 24 plus months to see real results. So how long does it take to get results with SEO? Well, the answer is it depends. Just kidding. I know that's almost every SEO's favorite answer, but truthfully, I believe that any SEO worth their weight in gold should be able at least to benchmark and give a pretty solid time frame how long it should take to actually start getting results. And we should also define what results mean, which we'll talk about a little bit later in this video. Look, I think the short answer to this question is, if we take a look at some of the recent poll data done by Ahrefs, they conducted a poll on LinkedIn, and they looked at 4,300 different respondents, and roughly half of the respondents said that it usually takes between 3 to 6 months to show results. Now, again, what does the term results mean? Very, very vague in terms of what are results. This is something clear that needs to be defined before starting an engagement, and we'll talk a little bit later about that in this video. But, I can say that for our agency, for Rock the Rankings, our aim and goal is always to get clear, defined results that we set up front, right, in terms of an actual milestone that we want to hit within a 90-day period. Now, when we make that claim to a prospect, right, first of all, they have to be definitely the right fit prospect. And when we talk about 90 days, in order to get results, generally that are prospects that already have an existing content base, have an existing link base. Typically, they already have product market fit, right? There are different qualities that we look for in order for us to be sure that we can get results within those 90 days so that we can prove out our engagement, prove out the relationship, and prove out that, we really walk the walk and not just talk the talk like a lot of companies do. So I think, looking at, well, how do we best answer this question? And even more so, the thing that gets asked a lot is, why does it take so long to get results, right? What are the factors involved in terms of it takes us X amount of time? Well, why is that, right? And I think that comes down to like 4 real factors as I have listed down here. Number 1, the competition level. Number 2, the age of the business's domain and the existing backlink profile. Number 3, the client's budget and resources. And number 4, strategy and execution. I'm going to walk through real quick and break down those kind of line by line. The first thing is looking at the competition level, right? So when you take a look at the category that your software is in, and you start to take a look at the search results, especially for a lot of those so-called bottom funnel keywords, software, tools, app, right? So for example, CRM software, CRM tool, right? These are typically going to be this is already apparent to you, but these are going to be very, very competitive. Ranking for these conversion terms in the short and probably in the midterm for a lot of businesses is going to be next to difficult. Now, you have companies, again, that are much further along. They have a ton of content, a ton of topical relevance already. They have a ton of links. Well, they might be able to get there with the right amount of budget and the right amount of commitment and execution and the right strategy. But you first have to assess what is that competition level for, industry, for the segment that we're in. And then that will start to tell you, how many backlinks do we need to start building? How quickly do we need to build those? Also, what do we need to build from a content perspective? Are we starting from scratch? Are we not? And that will start to paint a clear picture, right? So the more niche your industry is, the more niche of a space that you're in, likely the less competitive it will be. So the quicker you can start to get to the so-called results that you're looking to achieve. The next thing is the domain age and backlinks, right? And when I talk about domain age and backlinks, specifically what I'm talking about is when you take a look at a tool like Ahrefs, SEMrush, et cetera, these tools can take a look at a domain and basically they give a score out of 100, right? So Ahrefs is a domain rating, and also it'll tell you how many referring domains there are. So generally, what happens here is you can pull back, your top 5 or 10 conversion terms, right? That might be around software, best CRM software, et cetera, et cetera. You can start to then look at the domains, top 10 ranking domains in the search results, and have an idea roughly of what their domain range is, their domain rating is, right? And if you look at that and you see 70, 80, 90, 80, 70, 70, 80, and you're starting from scratch, well, probably it's going to take you quite a bit of time, right? That might even be 12 to 18 months or longer, depending on how much budget, how much resources, how much effort you're going to put into the SEO side. Really taking a look at domain age and backlinks, because you have the other issue, the other challenge of, look, if you've just purchased a domain name and you've never built any content on it, it has no existing backlinks, and it was recently purchased, then it's considered that it has no age behind it, right? Meaning you'll likely be in Google's so-called sandbox, where it'll take you, you'll also be limited for typically around 6 months to even start showing or even start ranking in the search results. So this is even longer, an even longer amount of time on top of already everything else you're going against. And that is why domain age and backlinks matter so much. Number 3 is resources and budget. And I say this all the time, right? When we look at prospects, it's always the question of how fast do we want to run to get to our goals. So the more resources that we can dedicate when it comes to time, budget, physical work, link building, content writing, the faster we can get to our desired goal, right? So for example, I have here, if we have 80 target revenue-focused pieces of content that we want to create, 10 specific landing pages, but we can only create one each week, it's going to take much longer to get to that desired goal. Same goes for link building. If you're not proactively building links, if you have no link acquisition strategy, you have no budget for link building, no budget for digital PR, well, it's going to take much, much longer to get to that desired goal. And the 4th thing is strategy and execution, right? So strategy is where the battle is won. And I see this a lot of times, a challenge that, companies come up against is they don't always start at kind of the right place when it comes to their SEO strategy, right? A lot of times companies go all in, they're spending money, they're spending time, they're spending budget on extremely competitive terms where, again, they have no backlink profile, no existing topical authority, and they're spinning their wheels because these terms are going to be extremely competitive, right? Whereas if we could dig out a creative angle in other terms, in another way, in another angle to approach this, where it's still conversion focused, we're still focusing on a strategy to get demos or to get signups versus spinning our wheels on the same thing everybody else is, right? We're probably not using the right strategy. So strategy and execution are a huge component to what goes into getting results faster or slower, especially when you hire an agency. You hire an agency for SaaS that's overly focused on, let's say, technical SEO, and that's not something that will move the needle at all for your business, which is the case many times. Well, you're probably spending money for a company to run reports in Ahrefs or SEMrush and check off a box and tick a box on an Excel spreadsheet, right? They will have no impact because the vast majority of the time it's going to come down to velocity and quality of content, velocity and quality of links. Those are the 2 main drivers, right? And if we can pair that with the right strategy, then we know we're going in the right direction versus trying to spin our wheels on something that's way too competitive. I think coming back to kind of defining the term results. So how long does it take to get results? Everybody has a different definition of results, right? It's a loaded term and it can mean different things to different people. So we always want to be able to set those SMART goals and set, specific measurable goals at the start of a campaign where, okay, well, what is our goal? Is our goal to triple organic growth over the next 6 months? Knowing we're in it for the long haul, it might take longer to generate qualified signups based on our stage. Or is it to double signups over the next 90 days based on where we're at, right? What are those specific results that you're looking to achieve? Then I think any great marketer can at least start to walk that back based on your existing base of content and links, your existing metrics as well. You can take a look on rocktherankings.com. We have a calculator on here that we use with clients where, number one, we benchmark different growth scenarios based on existing content and links, and then we pair that with their own internal metrics, right? So where are we at right now in terms of right fit visitors? What's our expected lift percentage, right? This is data that we provide. Are we going to do 50%, 100%? Where do we think we can get to based on our budget and resources? What's our average website visitor to demo sign-up conversion, margins, ACV, LTV? Then this allows us to paint a much clearer picture. If we can come back and give very specific projections of where we can get to with the budget based on the existing base of content and links, and if we can pair that with your own metrics, this allows us to tell us, well, what are we investing and what are we getting out of this? right? We can paint a clearer picture together, number one. And number two, we can define what results means for us over the given period. What is our milestone that we want to hit? Now, when we pair those two things together, we know it's possible. We know how much budget we need. We know roughly the time frame. And it makes it much, much more clear, right? Versus just saying it depends, right? Or throwing out the general answer, which is 3 to 6 months. It does depend on your situation. But again, any great SEO, any great marketer should be able to benchmark that, come back to you using your own existing metrics if you have them, right? Using traffic projection of what's possible in different growth scenarios and marrying that together, right? To give a very clear answer. In terms of tracking progress, like here's how we think about it at Rock the Rankings high level. We typically, for any campaign, we look at keyword position in Google as a leading indicator, right? So normally 4 to 8 weeks, we're looking at that as a leading indicator for our primary terms that we're trying to rank and own mid and bottom funnel. Are we getting those to position 1, right? And from there, we want to move directly into conversions. How many conversions are we generating via organic? Are we tracking and attributing that to GA4? Great. Well, we can then pull that back and have a good understanding of we generated X amount of demos last month from this specific page set, and we can get even more granular with that, right? So I think it's important to have that leading indicator in there, but we want to get away from that as soon as possible, right? We should be looking at real conversion data, demos, signups, and even if we can marry that back to specific revenue numbers, which in some cases we can, that's even better. So that's my long answer on how long does it take to get results with SEO. And yeah, I think that should give a more clear path in terms of what to expect when you're hiring or trying to build an in-house team, whether you're hiring an agency, whether you're hiring a consultant. And they should be able to start to benchmark and give you a clear idea, again, based on where you're currently at and where you're trying to go.